Chennai OutSystems user group. So we are firstly looking into BPT as the major topic of this series. And during this series, we have planned 4 sessions. In each session, we shall be describing an activity in BPT. Okay. So yesterday we saw about human activity, and today we shall be seeing about task box and also some properties around the human activity and some other miscellaneous information that you should be aware of. Okay, so let me share my screen real quick. Before that, is my voice clear to everyone? Can you please confirm? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me share my screen. Okay. So today's topic will be task box. So what do we mean by task box? Let's see. So in order for us to see what a task box is, let's first take a look at our existing application. So let me log in. So in our existing application expense portal, an employee or a manager or a finance person, end of the day, an employee can apply or can submit an expense report. Once that is submitted, the manager has to approve. And then once the manager approves, then the finance person or anybody from the finance team has to approve the expense report. So yesterday we created 3 human activities with which we were able to track these multiple levels of approvals or the journey of an expense report. Okay, so how were we able to see? So we were able to see the journey of an expense report right from when it was created to when it was approved by the finance person in service center. So let me show you. So go to the module, go to process log, and if you open if you open the process expense report approval, these are the different instances of the process. Instances in the sense, whenever I create a new expense report, a process instance gets triggered and it runs, and each process instance goes through these many steps. It started around at this time and it ended this time. Submit, first level approval, second level approval, end. So this is the in-depth detail about one process instance, right? So this is what we are achieving via BPT, because with BPT we are not achieving a functionality. Remember that you will still be able to approve or reject by going to the My Approval screen, and you can manually do it. But where exactly are we tracking the next steps or the series of steps or a series of stages an expense report goes through, right? So that we are doing only via establishing a process. Okay, and whenever this process gets triggered, whenever a new expense report gets created, right, it runs in the background. Okay, so even if, say, for example, as a manager, I take 1 day or 2 days time, no timeout will happen. Okay, so that's the advantage. It runs in the background. Okay, for automatic activity, it's different. We will see to it once when we reach there. But yeah, so the activity or the process runs in the background. Okay, now going back to our application, log into our application. Say, imagine I'm logging in as Mary Jane. Now, as soon as Mary Jane logs in, my expectation is I should be able to see the number of tasks that are pending with me. Okay, now I'm not seeing anything. I have to go to my approvals and see the list of tasks. It's like I have to go here and I have to approve or reject. Instead, if I have something like a reminder or some notification or something that conveys that, see, you have 4 pending tasks, you better approve it or reject it. You take action. So if I have something like that, then I won't forget. Right? So this is taskbox it isn't something that you have to use. Okay, it's just a means with which we are going to teach you how can we ensure that the end user take necessary actions without missing the deadline. Okay, so with task box, what we are going to do is in the bottom of the screen we will be displaying a task box. Okay, as soon as if Mary Jane is the one who has to approve the expense report, then she will get a message saying, see, you have this expense report, you please approve or reject, and clicking on the task she will be taken to the task screen where she will be performing her activity, which is approve or reject. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to Service Studio. In order to implement task box, it isn't like you have to develop or define or create a block from scratch. No, you already have it in Forge. So the component name is task box reactive, sample task box reactive. So go to Forge and you may install the component. I've already installed it. So let me go and add the dependency to the task box. Okay, this is the block. Add this block. Now this block that I have added, I want it to be visible in any screen wherever I go to. As long as I don't complete that task, it should be visible to me. That's my expectation. So in that case, it makes sense to add the task box in the layout block, because all the screens, if you take all the screens, they are built, they are nothing but the layout top menu block, right? So if I add the task box in the layout top menu block, it will make the task box visible across all the screens which are built based out of the layout top menu block. Okay, so that's exactly I'm going to do. So I'm going to drag the task box and I'm going to drop it inside layout top menu. Let me open layout top menu and let me add the task box somewhere here. And if I check the widget tree, yes, this is where it has been added. Yeah, I'll add it below the footer. Done. I have successfully added the task box. This is not it. We have some more steps to complete, which are, let's go back to our process. For every human activity, we have these fields, detail instructions. Yesterday, we did not do anything around these fields. The reason being, we did not need it. Today, we have a necessity. So, as a manager, when I log in, right, there should be something mentioned in the task box, right? I mean, instead of just seeing the number, I should have something written in it saying, as a manager, please approve it. As a finance person, you're expected to approve it, right? So, some detail around it, right? So, whatever the task box is going to display, it will be taken from the detail property and the instruction property associated with the human activity. Okay, so as the first level approver, the detail would be first manager approval, say manager approval, and instructions will be your reportee has raised an expense report. I mean, has submitted an expense report. Please take action. Okay. This is for manager approval. Then for finance person, I'll say finance approval instruction, as you are finance team has to prove the expense report. So instruction is nothing but that will help the end user understand what the task is about and act accordingly. And remember, in finance person, we have not assigned the activity, I mean, the expense report to one person. If you check the submit report and first level approval, submit report corresponds to, it has to be executed by only one person, none other than the one who had created the submit, expense report. Right? Whoever had clicked on the new expense report button, right? So what do I mean? Let me show you. Whoever had clicked on the new expense report button, that same person has to submit the expense report. 1 minute. That's what I mean by that's what this condition, this expression in user field means. Just whatever the ID you are getting, get the entire record, and whoever is there in the created by field, that same person has to submit the report. Then for first level approval also, when I submit the expense report, it will ask me for a manager, right? So whoever I choose, the manager's detail gets saved in the first approval field of an expense report. So that particular person has to approve, not any other manager. Okay, if it's Mary Jane, then Mary Jane has to approve, right? So that is what we have done the first two human activities. While on the third activity, human activity, we have not assigned it to a particular person. Instead, we have just mentioned that anyone with the finance team role can approve or reject this request, the expense report, right? So that is the difference. Okay, and then the manager approval, I let me make one of the human activities skip property as yes. Okay, and then let me publish. So when an activity skip property is set to yes, in the task box you will get an additional button called skip. Okay, that's why I made one of the activities skip property as yes. Okay, now let's go to our application. Let's refresh the screen. I'm going to create a new expense report and I'm going to submit it. So click on, okay, 1 minute. Jane herself can create an expense report, but yeah, just so we stick to the same name so that in future if I explain it should be easy for you. So John Mayer is an employee. Click on new expense report. So as soon as I click on that button, an expense report, an entry gets added and the process starts. Okay, so if I have to show you, go to back to expense report approval. You see 500. This was just started. Okay, these two. This is for Mary Jane and this is for John Mayer. So if I open 500, you will see submit the report. John Mayer has to submit. He's yet to do. You see it. Go here, click on new expense, set the date as 31st, and I'm saying this to be pepper fry, amount 12345, furniture. This is my expense. Save the expense. Now submit the expense. Choose a manager. I'm going to choose lessee. Let me submit. Okay, I have successfully submitted. If I refresh service center, you'll be able to see first level approval. Leslie, it's ready. This particular activity has been closed. Okay. Now let me log out. Let me log in as lessee. Can you see this? This is what I mean by task box. So when I click on this task, it says manager approval. Okay. Right. So when I click on it, it simply says this: your reportee has submitted an expense report. Please take action. But my expectation is when I click on the task, it should take me to the screen where I can act on that task, right? It should take me to the screen where I can approve and reject, right? So that part we haven't configured yet. So let's do it. So go to human activity. So you will see a property called the destination screen where the user will complete the human activity work after opening this activity in the task box. So in the destination, I'm going to set the destination as expense report detail. So that is the screen where you have the approve, reject button. You have the details about the expense report mentioned. So that screen in turn is looking for an input parameter. So I'll pass expense report ID, okay, that the process readily gets. Similarly, the for the finance approval, I'll set the destination property to expense report detail and expense report ID. Let me publish. Okay, let's go here. We'll stick to the same way of implementation or showcase, demo showcase, so that the process is kind of very clear in your mind. Okay, so I'm logging in as John Mayer again, or can log in as any person, but I just want to register the name John Mayer. John Mayer is equivalent to employee who submits expense report. Okay, so click on new expense report and new expense, add an expense, say clothing, save, submit. Need to choose a manager. Let me choose lessee. Submit, log out. Now let me log in as lessee. Can you see the task box has now incremented to 2 tasks? Let me click on the 2 tasks. Let me choose manager approval. And as soon as I click on it, earlier it asked me, it showed this box, but it was just there in the same screen, right? But now it is taking me to a screen where I can act. Say I approve or reject. So if I click on approve, this task will be done, correct? So let me click on approve expense. Done. Now let me again go to the task box. Let me click on the next task I have. Okay, you have these buttons, right? If you click on done, then this task will be, this activity will be marked as completed. You will see in service center that it's closed. Or otherwise, if you approve it directly, then that will also close the activity. Okay, if you click on done, make sure you approve the expense report. Okay, otherwise it will automatically be done. Okay, for time being, I'll just keep one expense report in the submitted status. Oh, okay, yeah, the submitted status. Let's log out. So this is all about task box. Okay, now let's go and let's log in as a finance team member. Okay, I see only one activity, one task. The reason being the other one was not approved by the first level approval, who is the manager. So it's just one expense report has been that has been assigned to the finance team. So let me click on finance approval. It is taking me to the task screen. Now here, as we have not assigned this activity to a particular person, it just says you are eligible to be assigned to this task. Would you like to assign it to yourself? Yes. So let me click on assign to me. And then now I'll get the same thing, but do you see an extra button skip? So if I skip this, then I can skip it because I had set the skip property as yes, but I won't. Let me approve this expense report. That's all. Now if we refresh, you see this process we have not approved it. Okay, so there we created another expense report after this one. That one, see that status is closed. You see it. Okay, this particular instance was successfully completed. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is for every process, right? So you have this property called expose process entity, what it is. So when you set this property to yes, okay, so if you go to the database tab, there isn't any entity associated with this process, right? But now if you go and enable this property, right? Yes. If you go to data tab, you will find an entity. You will find this process, and if you expand it, you will find an entity called process expense report approval. So what it is? It's right click and click on view data. It's publish. You see this process ID 500, expense report ID 87. Why these two processes? So these two processes are not closed yet. So if you wish to display the status of an expense report, say this particular expense report, it is closed, but these expense reports, they are not closed because they are pending in this particular stage. Okay, with this person. So the process expense report approval entity will show you the active processes. Yeah, active processes. Active processes means only the expense report approval process instances, active process instances to be exact. So if you go here, if you see 500 and 4 is 490, these two are the instances that are still active, right? So that's why you're getting to see these two alone in the entity. Okay, so where can you use these entity? Yeah, I mean, if you want to display the real-time status of the activity and its status in an end user screen, then you can very well leverage this entity. But not just this entity. For you to display something tangible or useful, you need to join it with the other entities, with the other system entities, and then you'll be able to show that relevant information. So let me create another screen. Okay, so I'll say I'm going to create or name the screen as milestones. In the milestone screen, see, we are not worried about the output. I'm just going to show you different entities and its purpose. Create an aggregate. So I am envisioning to display the name of the activity and the status of that activity. So if I'm logging in as Mary Jane, I should be able to see, or say if I'm logging in as John Mayer, okay, John Mayer had submitted an expense report. He wishes to know the status of that expense report. So in that case, if I would like to see the status of the activity, status of the the expense report that I created. Okay, and when I say status, then when I say the expense report status, it has multiple activities within it. So I wish to see the status of each activity that the expense report instance goes through. So you have many entities. Where exactly are the activities you create get stored? Okay, and let's see that real quick. So we have system entities available. So let me go to manage dependencies. Let's look into the system entity, system module. We'll find entities like activity. Okay, activity definition. Okay, I have these already added. Let's then let's not have it anymore. So let me go and choose this entity called activity. So what is this entity? So there are two things. One is activity, the other one is activity definition. Activity definition is nothing but submit the report is an activity, right? And its name is submit the report, and its skip property is this, its user is this. So the definition about submit the report will be stored in activity definition. So in activity definition, you will find only one submit the report. While in activity, you will find many submit the reports, because in activity entity, you will get the status of a particular activity defined in the activity definition entity for a particular process instance. So let's go inside get activity. You see there are multiple ends, there are different starts, right? So there can be this particular activity has run for this particular process instance. That's what they mean here in activity. Okay, activity definition ID. So one activity definition, which means one submit report, can have multiple entries in the activity entry, because multiple process instance will run the submit the report activity, right? So that's what it means, and it has a process ID associated. Okay, So in order, I don't have the name of the activity in the activity entity, so I need activity definition. Okay, these are the some of the names of the activity. I mean, some of names of the activities. Next, I don't you know you want to see the status of the expense report, right? So do I have any expense report ID anywhere? No. So the but I know I have process. Do you have expense report ID anywhere in activity or activity definition entity? No, you don't have. But you have process ID field. So let's add the process entity so that you will be able to link the process expense report approval entity as well. So let me go add dependency, go to system module. So process entity will have the information about every process instance, not the name of the process instance. Every instance that gets created, right? This is nothing but it comes from the process entity 502, 500, 498. These are all process instances. Go to add source, process, select it, add it. You publish. Make sure you always see the preview while you add or remove entry so that you'll be able to correct the joins accordingly. Okay. Now I want only those activities associated, or I want activities associated with the expense report approval process. So let me add another join, process expense report approval. Okay, process.id. We change the join to only with. Do you see? So these are the activities that are pending for in the expense report approval process. Okay, there could be two. There are two instances, right? That's why you see two. Those are the records repeating twice. Okay. Now I don't want these again. I want only those process instances that were created for the expense report I created. So you need to add another filter. Add filter, and you need one more entity, right? So process expense report, it does not have the details on who created that expense report. So you need to add another entity, which is expense report entity. Okay, make sure you preview it. You preview, you make sure you load the preview every time so that you are aware about the consequences of adding a particular entity or adding a filter. Now filter, I don't want all the activities. I only want those activities which corresponds to the expense report that I submitted. So whoever is logged in, created by is equal to the logged in person's ID. Only then test value is 22 at the moment. So this is what we'll see. Okay, now I'll 22. Who is 22? Let's see that also. Keep this preview untouched. Okay, it's 10. Okay, 2 more minutes. 22 is none other than Mary J. Okay. Since we are almost created by 22, let's see. See, these were the two activities corresponding to the expense report created by manager. Okay. Now that's it. Now the difficult part is done. Go here, drag and drop a table, and go to activity definition. That will have the name of the activity. And okay, and in order for you to get the status, you have another entity called activity status, because activity entity only has the activity status ID. I need the name of the data status. I'll add activity status as well, and then I'll add the name. Okay. We also add the expense report ID. For time being, let me publish. Let's see this. Let me log out. Let me log in as Mary Jane. See milestones, right? You see start closed. So you can very well leverage it, add process ID, expense report ID to it. See start is closed, but submit the report, it is ready. Okay, so if you wish to display the milestone of something, then this is a probable approach. But again, the best approach will be to create custom entities like task and status and use it, because if you're going to use these system entities, then it's like they are multi-tenant and there's huge amount of data, so it's going to unnecessarily affect the performance. So it's better to create custom entities and create aggregates that fetch data from the custom entities. Okay, but in order to explain you the purpose of the entities that are involved around processes, I just took this example. So with this, I would like to wrap today's session. I hope the session was insightful to all of you, and let's meet tomorrow again. And yeah, so tomorrow's topic will be automatic activity. Again, I shall be the one who shall be taking tomorrow's session as well. So thank you once again. Have a great day.